I'm going to break a little bit from the norm and talk about thermoregulation today, which is the regulation of temperature in the human body. And my name is Courtney. So humans maintain a core temperature between 98 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit in general, excepting fever and other alterations to that. And your metabolism accounts for most of the heat produced in your body. And then we have multiple modes of cooling to offset the heat produced by your metabolism. The body also has several ways to either increase heat production or to increase insulation to keep the heat in when you're cold. So those include vasoconstriction, which constricts like your capillaries and stuff to prevent blood flow close to the skin surface to kind of keep all that nice warm blood inside. You also stop sweating. You begin shivering, which causes your muscles to increase the production of heat and thereby add to the amount of heat production overall in the body. There are also chemicals secreted by your hypothalamus that promote heat production in your body and the erection of hairs all over your body to increase the insulation. And that is a huge factor in other mammals that have a lot more hair than we do. Thermogenesis is what is referred to when we talk about the body's generation of heat. And the total measured heat or energy is referred to as the metabolism. So that's the sum of all of the cellular reactions in the body, both those that are exergonic and those that are endergonic. And that includes like anabolic and all kinds of different reactions that I'm not going to get into today. And so you can kind of think of the metabolism as the body's power production or the body's heat production. And we refer to the BMR a lot of times when we talk about metabolism, and that is the basal metabolic rate. And that can be calculated in watts per meter squared as far as calculating the METs, and then kilojoules per hour per kilogram body mass is a pretty popular way to refer to it as well. And something to note is that the body is only about 25% efficient with heat. We produce a lot of heat in the different processes of creating energy for our bodies, and about 75% of that is lost. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some different modes of cooling, dealing with some heat transfer and thermal topics here, definitely. And those include perspiration, conduction, radiation, and convection. First, conduction and convection. We're all pretty familiar with that. Everything that you're in contact with, you have some sort of heat transfer. So this is the equation that is primarily used to calculate that. And I used a website for a lot of these factors that put in all of the typical K values, the area of your body, all of the regular values, and calculated about 10.5 watts for both conduction and convection at normal room temperature that your body is cooling. And then radiation, which is heat through infrared waves, and that was a much more significant value when calculated at 133 watts than perspiration. So another huge factor in cooling our bodies is obviously sweating, perspiring. And that increases whenever we are working out, whenever our bodies are producing more heat. Our body perspires more in order to cool that. And that effect comes into play a lot with the heat of vaporization of water. It takes a lot of energy to evaporate water off of our skin. So it's basically pulling that energy in the form of heat from our bodies in order to evaporate the sweat off of our skin. Kind of sounds a little bit gross, but it's definitely a huge factor in keeping us cool and keeping our body temperatures regulated so that everything works just fine. And then in overview, you can see the radiation is definitely a huge portion. Like, we radiate a lot of heat just sitting down, resting. And you can see conduction and convection and everything only accounts for a small percentage well as the